Hey, so I had a great session the other day with a student of mine where we kind of accidentally tapped into a hidden source of power that he didn't know he had. And while he came to straighten out his driver so he could hit more fairways, he left doing both that and finding a ton of effortless power. I want to show you how we did it right after this. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue on my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter from tee to green. I hope to show you how to do the same. All right, so let's take a look at the first driver swing that Paul made the other day. At the beginning of the session, you could see here that his club, he tends to kind of stand up, goes from loses his posture, butt kind of pushes in, head and torso kind of stands up, and the club, we'll kind of do a proportionate steepening. So you're seeing the shaft here gets kind of above his shoulder a little bit into a little too vertical position. Certainly doesn't look like anybody on TV that you might have been watching in slow-mo on YouTube lately. Doesn't look very efficient, doesn't look very powerful. Looks like he's gonna struggle with distance and accuracy, and that's exactly what's happening to Paul. He doesn't feel like he's hitting it out there as far as he wants, but especially his driver is getting him in trouble and causing him to make scores higher than bogey too often. So it's really a sticking point right now in his index, which is sitting right around a 6, I believe. So the issue with Paul, a couple issues, but really one primary issue that kind of snowballs into the other ones is, you can see in the backswing he makes, as he takes the club back and starts to reach the top, he already is starting to lose butt depth. So we figured he was losing about 2.5 inches of depth this way by the time he reaches the top of the swing. And usually when we do that, we don't maintain the depth on the backswing. It means we're cheating or setting up for more of the same on the downswing. So oftentimes if you're trying to get that butt to stay back this way, like a lot of guys on TV and really a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame do, it's a good place to start with the backswing, is to try to keep it anchored. Or even what I had him do was drills with the chair behind, where he would lift the chair off the ground into the takeaway into the backswing, and then he just had to maintain that chair legs up in the air as he went through. So here's an example. So if you're having issues with this on the downswing, again, you're probably getting in some trouble in the backswing, and it's just setting you up for a greater amount of it on the downswing. And a lot of people can really correct the coming off an early extension idea in the downswing, of standing up in the downswing, if they can work on the backswing. Watch how I'm gonna lift the chair off the ground. You can just practice this at home. Becomes a much easier task to stay back once you're back here. You get a really good start at it. Then it's pretty easy just to keep the chair legs off the ground all the way through the swing. So I'd be practicing this. You can see I'm arriving at a much better posture, much closer to where I started at address, instead of what you see in his first video where he's really getting tall. Now the club shaft almost necessarily has to steepen and get very vertical, because as we get taller, the plane is going to have to go into more of a vertical Ferris wheel. Otherwise, we'd whiff the ball. If you're trying to make a flat swing or a shallow swing without the corresponding amount of forward bow through impact, well, of course, you need a really high batting tee, because you're going to hit the swing through a foot or two above the ground. So that won't work. We need the appropriate amount of forward bend, or hip flexion, you might say, through the ball, if we're going to achieve that nice on-plane slot position and come through impact nicely. So second thing he did besides that, working on that, so we just called it the -1, drill. So if you imagine this way is plus and this way is minus, and the number is inches, shift back 1 inch. When you shift through, I asked him to add another inch. So -1, -1 again, for a total of -2. And that gives him a little bit of extra hyper exaggeration in doing this, so that when he removes the chair, hopefully he can just do it correctly. Now, the other thing we added, we saw a lot of instances in this session where the handle of his club, and again, it's because his pelvis ends up in the way. You can't get that handle to go this way because there's just no space anymore. So once he started doing this pretty good, I put something over here like this, and I forced him to swing around this way, just like that. And what happened then was really, really cool. And let's put up the last driver swing, the best driver swing of the day that he made. And you'll see quite a significantly more forward bend as he goes through the ball. Not quite enough, but certainly enough to improve on his 6 index. And you'll see that the exit is significantly arcing around to the left more. And of course, what that gives you is not only was he starting to hit, even his bad shots were even finding the fairway. So he would dink it out there. Now, Paul's a big, strong guy, very athletic. No problem for him to drive a ball 280 or even 290 yards. And, you know, I tell him at 6,600 yards, he's already overpowering the course. He wants to know how, you know, do I need more distance to look? No, you don't need any more distance right now to lower your handicap. But what you've got to do is keep that ball in play, get your fairway tighter with all your shot dispersion. And well, we did that, and he started hitting every ball in the fairway, you know, at least 5 out of 6, and the 6th ball would be maybe just a couple yards off the fairway, where on a bad day with the original swing that you saw in the video, he would have some real crooked shots, mostly to the right, a lot of heel contacts as well. You know, his top speed in lessons is it's generally about 104 or something. And he said, hey, I was at the golf store the other day and I was hitting on their simulator, and they said my ball speed was like right around 148. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. Ball speed should be more like 155 at 104 miles an hour. So interestingly, he hits a perfect drive. It's a beautiful high, little tight draw right down the middle, which he couldn't do with this first swing that I showed you. But instead, I ask him, because he just torches it. Doesn't swing very hard though, it's just he's trying to do the right motions, and I'm encouraging him to slow it down and just try to make the correct motions. And I said, how fast do you think your club head speed was there, and how far do you think that ball went? And he said, oh, like 250 or something. I said, no, that ball went 285, and it was 103.5 miles an hour. So with half the power or the conscious effort, you just achieved basically the same club head speed as you did at the beginning of the lesson with that other style swing, but with your full maximum effort. And he just couldn't believe it. And I said, and also that ball went 285, almost 290 for you, and the ball speed was 155. So in other words, a perfect smash factor compared to what he was doing before. Not just a perfect smash factor, but also with these upgrades, these 2 upgrades, higher launch, lower spin. So he couldn't believe that he had almost hit the ball 290 basically with a half a swing. And why is he doing that? Well, again, these 2 ideas, snowballs in the right direction compared to what he was doing before. When you can keep the depth here, that means you can get this coming in like this more. You're going to get that slap shot action. Imagine a hockey player with this hockey stick here. I just have to pull this end of the stick in as I push with this hand, and I can really get that wham. I can really slap that puck. I've never played hockey before. I'm just assuming that's what I see on TV. Somebody who can hit a slap shot over 100 miles an hour would be doing, and it's a lot to do with what this end of the stick is doing, because they certainly couldn't push this by itself fast enough to be 100 miles an hour. So it's a combination of pulling this in too, which you can't do, of course, if your pelvis is here. You can't pull it back in again. You can't make this crack around the corner and upwards. So that certainly would add speed. You can see how this would apply a nice burst of acceleration. So the hand path improvement created that extra speed where he felt like he was swinging easier, yet he was producing the same. So can't wait to see how much you'll be able to pick up as he grooves this. Maybe 4 to 6 miles an hour would be my guess. But the other thing was that the other numbers were so good too. So what's the lesson here for you? What it means is, one thing is, yeah, speed training is wonderful and it works. It's hard work, takes a while. It's like going to the gym for a gym body. It takes a while and it's sweat, no question. But before you resort to speed training or lifting weights or anything like that, trying to swing harder, getting a longer drive or any other strategy, make sure that you're maxing this out first, because the benefits are not only to hit the ball farther, but also hit the ball much more accurately as well. And maybe this can be your only strategy towards hitting the ball longer as well. Exhaust possibilities here using the mechanics of your swing, the way the hand path works, and I think you're going to get potentially a lot more mileage out of that and way more accuracy. Cut your scores way down. Hey, if you got good benefit out of this video, I hope you'll hit like and subscribe. Head over to my website, hititlonger.com, for over 100 more articles and videos that I think will help your golf game. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I'm Steve, and as usual, hey, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.